And how does love relate to Christmas? How does it relate to the holiday season? How does it relate to what's going on in your life right now? How does it relate to connections and our two goals of a better understanding and closer relationship with God and myself, and tools for life mastery? Love is absolutely crucial. It's at the key. It's at the center of all of it. Now, just like in the skit, our buddy Spiritual Steve said, there's a lot we can learn about this, learn about ourselves and about God and about everything this time of year, if we just stop and take a look and see what there is to learn. Now, one of the things that we can learn this time of year is different levels of love. Throughout the year, we can say, oh, let's talk about love. Let's talk about different levels of love. And people say, yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. It's like saying I love pizza is different than saying I love my mom. Well, yeah. But what about different levels of love? Different levels of connection within people? This time of year offers us an amazing opportunity to look at things maybe from a little different perspective than we do most of the year. Now, none of us like to be favorites, and none of us like to play favorites. But it offers a unique window into our souls for just a moment. Who are the people, think about right now, the people that this Christmas you know you're going to get a really nice gift for? Now think about the people that you're going to make sure and get a little gift for. You're going to give them a gift. Now think of those other folks who are definitely on your Christmas card list. They're going to get a card, they're going to get a newsletter saying who you are and what you've been up to. It may be the only time of the year that you reconnect with those friends or family or whatever it is from years past. Now you want to maintain that connection, but we may do it through a newsletter, a Christmas card once a year. Now there are other folks that don't quite rate a Christmas card. They rate a phone call. But we make sure to give them a call because we always call them on Christmas, or they call us. Now in today's world, there's another group of folks that comes after that one. That's the e-card folks. The folks that you don't really want to talk to on the phone, but you want to send them something, but not something that actually costs anything. So you can send them an e-card and shoot that out. Now there's another level of folks underneath that that don't quite rate an e-card, but your friends on Facebook. And so you might put on their wall, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, this sort of thing. And then there's another group of folks below that that get involved with our mass prayer when we sing things like Joy to the World. I pray for peace on earth, for personal fulfillment for all people that connects everyone around the planet. Now to look at almost like a little love diagram, we could put you in the center and say that first ring of folks, those folks that you're going to make sure and get a big gift for, they're the folks who are most important, most loved, most connected to you. The next group, the little gift folks, out a little further, the holiday newsletter and Christmas card folks, and then the e-card folks, and then the social networking folks, and then the mass prayer folks. And what we do when we see that looks to me almost like a drop going into a still body of water. Think of a drop going in and the little ripples that it makes out. Now think of, just right here at Connections, look at the person next to you, because they've got a drop of water too. And you fall somewhere in their ring, whether it's the first ring, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and so your ripple begins to overlap with my ripple. And your ripple begins to overlap with your ripple. And this is how we're all connected. Now to look at planet Earth being like a huge ocean, just a huge, still ocean. Every drop that's in there interconnects with every other drop, every other set of concentric circles. The talk we gave a couple weeks ago that talked about what is life, what is love, what is this the whole thing about, and we talked about God being like the ocean and each one of us being like a glass of water from that ocean. Stepping outside of that ocean momentarily to live, grow, life, love, and experience, and then return our energy and our experience back into that ocean. This little ripple effect that we can see very clearly illustrated at Christmas. And it's probably the only time of the year, because other times of the year, like Halloween, that's indiscriminate. That's any person who shows up at my door and says the magic phrase trick or treat is getting a gift. It's at Christmas that we look at our giving and our receiving. It's at Christmas that we look at which category, which ring do you fall in my world this year. Now, no matter what ring you're in, it's not a lifetime placement. You can move up and down that circle, up and down that life, however much you want to. You can get closer to someone's center. You can say, I want to be as good a friend to you as you want me to be. I want to be as involved in your life as you want me to be. Or you can say, I'm cool with the newsletter, man. It's completely up to you how deeply you choose to connect with each person that's in your circles. Now we look at Christmas, the bigger picture, the reason for the season being Jesus. Now a lot of folks have a lot of ideas about who this guy is. And I'm not here to tell you what to think or how you should connect or shouldn't connect with Jesus. That's completely up to you. That's your own relationship. But let me tell you my relationship, because it's a little different than most folks. When I was a little kid, I was about 5 years old, and this was in the the mid-70s. There was a lot of turbulence in the household. There was divorce and adoption and some abuse and some things like this. And in my world, I could always, from the time I was a little kid, see people with bodies and people without bodies. Folks called them ghosts or spirits or guides or imaginary friends or whatever it was, but I always saw folks with and without bodies. And there was this tall hippie guy that would show up at my house and say, hey man, come on, let's go play. Let's go outside, show me this tree. Let's go to your room, show me this, that. Now, seeing a tall hippie in the 70s wasn't anything all that extraordinary. It happened all the time. The challenge with this guy was that he was see-through. He was one of the people without bodies. But he became one of my best friends, this tall hippie guy. And he would continually save my bacon. Now when I was 5, I was moved from one state over to another state where I got to live with my grandparents. And I was really stoked that this tall hippie guy showed up too. Like he moved with me. Now I was about 5 years old and I'd never been to church before, didn't know what it was, didn't know nothing. But I knew that I didn't want to be the type of friend that my friends always had to come to my house. I wanted to go to their house too, and this tall hippie guy always came to my place. So one day we were playing and I said, man, where do you live? Where do you hang out? I want to give some time to you. I want to go hang out with you. Like I said, I'd never been to church before, and I come out of my bedroom in my finest suit as a 5-year-old kid, looked at my grandpa and said, he said, where are you going, man? I said, dude, I'm going to church. He said, what? I don't go to church. I said, man, you don't got to go. I'm going. He said, well, which one are you going to? The wisdom of a 5-year-old. I said, well, I'll probably go to one of those big white houses with the X's on the top. I think my buddy hangs out there. He said, which one? I said, I don't know, probably the closest one. I'm 5. So I cruise into this place, and I walk in. It was a little more traditional than this. It had the pews and had all this stuff. It had a very similar looking lectern or pulpit up at the front. Now, I got there a little late because I didn't know what time it actually started, right? Again, I was 5, cut me a break. But I come cruising in, and I don't know what the people out there did to piss off the guy that was up here, but he was growling. He was yelling at all these people. And I'm looking, and I didn't see my buddy. I didn't see the tall hippie guy in there anywhere. Nor did I feel him. But for me, I always like to find truth no matter where it is. And so I was kind of guided, led to a staircase, and went downstairs. I went downstairs, and I saw this whole spread layout, like they knew I was coming, that said, hey, here's coffee, here's cookies, here's juice, here's donuts. I thought, right on, they knew I was coming. And I look up on the wall, and there's a picture of the tall hippie guy. And I looked, and I said, man, why did they keep you in the basement? Those people upstairs are getting yelled at. I don't know what they did, but they are in trouble. But you must not be one of them, because you're down here. And so I just pulled a little chair up next to the picture, looked at my buddy, the tall hippie guy, kind of left my body, and the two of us started playing. A little while later, when the people upstairs were done getting yelled at, they came downstairs and they got to join us too. Then they got to hang out with me and the tall hippie guy. Now for me, I just kind of avoided the first part after that. There wasn't no sense in getting there early to watch the folks get yelled at. I just came for the second part, where they'd be down hanging out with the tall hippie guy, hanging out with each other, having a good time, and loving each other, loving God. Later in life, I was told that this tall hippie guy, other folks called him Jesus. and they had all these neat things to say about him. And I got to know him as who other people saw him as second, and I got to know him as a personal relationship with his tall hippie guy first. So my perspective on Jesus is slightly skewed for most folks, simply due to my experience. When you know somebody as a friend since the time you're 5, and then folks say, hey, this is what you should believe. If you believe in Jesus, you believe in this and this and this and this and this. Worked a little different for me because I'd been hanging out with him since I was 5, and we'd had a lot of good conversations. Now I hope in your life, in your world, that you've had good conversations with him too. And some of you sometimes can hear him talk back, and other times you just know he's listening. So when I look at the reason for the season, when I look at Christmas and I look at Christ, when I look at Jesus, I look at first the tall hippie guy. And then I look at it like, dude, it's your birthday, and I want to come help you celebrate. I want to be really stoked on this. When I got into more traditional forms of religion, they said, okay, it's Christ's birthday, and this is a time of year for celebration, but it's also a time to feel bad, because the only reason he got sent down here is because we were so bad that we needed saving. So his birthday, even though that's cool and it shows this promise of God, it's also got kind of a darker underside of he was born into a death sentence, all for something that we did or didn't do 2,000 years ago. And this didn't fit too well with my perspective of this tall hippie guy who showed up to hang out and to help me out and to make a relationship. So when we look at God and the ultimate love of God, that God is in all things, the great I am, no matter what you point at or who you point at, God is able to say, I am that. Now think about that when you talk to yourself. What is your self-talk? What do you tell yourself throughout the week? Are you giving yourself compliments, or are you beating yourself up? I am that, says God. I am you. In India, they use a saying, they say a greeting that says Namaste, which means the part of me, which is God, sees and respects the part of you that is God. It comes from a Sanskrit word, which a lot of Sanskrit stuff, dharma, karma, all this stuff, those are all Sanskrit words, but the Sanskrit word for nama means to bow, to give reverence, or to recognize. And the second word, astu, means let there be. And so namaste is a way of saying that which is of God in me greets that which is in God, of God in you. I am that. God is you. You are a part of God. And so when you beat yourself up, it's like beating up God. When we talk positively, when we encourage, when we do the things to help each other get it, get better, feel better, we're doing that directly to each other, but we're also doing that to God. By the same token, when we beat each other up, we do the same thing. It's like poking God in the eye and then saying, hey, but we're friends. What do you do with yourself? How do you treat yourself? God gave a great gift, not only in Christ, but he gave a great gift that we call free will. Very easily, he can put us all on autopilot where we just came down and ran through our little programs. But he didn't. He gave us free will. He said, the only way I'm going to know that you really love me is if you have the ability not to. Think about that with your kids, with your spouse, with your friends, with your family. You know that they really love you because they have the option to not love you. Because they have the option to not do it, it lets us feel that much more honored, respected, thankful, grateful, and blessed that they do. And we have the ability to give that gift to each other also. To give each other that blessing, that honor. I can say without question, I love you.